So I know that I have to organize my ideas based on time and space constraints. For this, I'll take as an example a particular class. Now the word class has different meanings depending on how it is being used. A class in biology, for example, is not exactly the same as a class in object-oriented programming in a language such as C++, but there are similarities. We can look at an even simpler example by considering a class as a way of organizing a specific category or type of information. So for the first example, we're going to examine how a class in object-oriented programming is similar to a classroom. Before I continue with that example, for the sake of those that don't see where I'm going with this, Magick is a way of organizing related ideas in order to make it easier or more manageable to work with. And for this reason, the Qabalah was compared by Israel Regardie to a file cabinet. Files enable us to organize related ideas in preparation for sorting and other things. Let us say, for example, that a small company has 10 employees. A separate file, whether physical or electronic, may be used to store information related to each of these individuals. These files occupy their own individual space, either physical or in memory, and are accessed at specific times. Now let us return to the classroom. A classroom occupies a specific time and space. The time is the time the class takes place, and the space corresponds to the location of the room the class takes place in. It's important to keep in mind that the same room or space may hold a different class at a different time, and that different classes can take place in a different room at the same time as other classes taking place in a different space, location, or room. The three-dimensional space that comprises the room is generally made of 4 walls, a ceiling, and a floor, so 6 sides, a cube. The walls may be viewed in order to create an analogy with Magick ritual to the 4 elements. Air, positive, the front, yellow wall. Fire, positive, to the right, the red wall. Water, in back, negative, the blue wall. And earth, negative, to the left, the black wall. Once these ideas are in place, we can use them as general triggers in order to access more specific details by invoking them into memory. Let us return to the example classes as classrooms. A class generally begins by banishing ideas unrelated to a particular class and invoking ideas related to it. So let us say there is an art class taking place in room 1 between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. Following that, another class, a math class, will take place in the same room, number 1, starting at 12 p.m. and ending at 1 p.m. Although different classes will take place in the same space or room, they will happen at different times. After the art class is over, the teacher may begin by banishing the ideas associated with the art class by erasing everything that was written on the blackboard using white chalk. The class starts with an empty blackboard, silence. Next, the teacher invokes internal or inside, within his own mind and the students' minds, ideas related to the math class. The ideas related to the class are invoked in the minds of the teacher and students, while the writing on the blackboard may be viewed as evoking external or outside of them. So the blackboard is evoking the ideas on the outside, and then that is simultaneously being reflected upon or internalized or invoked. The same language, for example, English, may be used in order to communicate ideas related to either the art class or the math class. In this case, the English language, the same words may have different words depending on which class we are participating in. And classes will have special words or symbols used only within those classes. Later, we may find that there is a general level at which all classes derive from a common base, the most general being nothing. Inspector General, the principal of the school, or the general in the army, or the Inspector General in Freemasonry. In the case that there is no overlap, as a rough analogy, we may say that a color wheel is applicable or used in an art class, while symbols such as the negative or minus corresponding to subtraction, or plus corresponding to addition, will only be used in a math class. The idea is perpetuated in a particular class or classroom and invoke in the memory of the students and teacher a common vision as conjured up from the depths of the subconscious by the symbols traced on the blackboard using white chalk. The teacher directs the minds or the collective consciousness of the students in a common direction. They are heading in the same direction as a result of their interests and participation. He's steering them in a particular direction. This establishes a level of commonality or similarity between all the students or individual parts of the collective social body as a result of a commonly understood language.